The curtain is finally being pulled back on the darkest corners of power, and names once hidden in the shadows are finally coming into the light. We aren't just looking at old files anymore. We're looking at the architecture of a cover-up. For years, the gatekeepers told us there was nothing left to see. They were wrong. As the final weeks of 2025 tick away, the silence that protected the world's most powerful predators isn't just breaking, it's shattering. For years, the American public has been told to wait, to trust the process. But as we move through December of 2025, the patience of the citizenry has reached its absolute limit. You've heard the excuses before: national security, ongoing investigations, the usual bureaucratic static meant to keep you in the dark. But this isn't just about one man or one island. It is about a systemic failure that allowed a network of influence to operate with impunity for decades. Let's be real. They didn't release these documents out of the goodness of their hearts. Following immense pressure from both sides of the aisle in Congress, new tranches of documents are being forced into the public record. These papers, once locked away in the vaults of the Department of Justice, are now revealing the names of those who were present at the very beginning of the investigation. The release of these files marks a pivotal moment in our national history. A moment where the protection of the elite is finally being challenged by the demand for absolute transparency. The flight logs were only the beginning. What we are seeing now is the internal communication of the investigators themselves, revealing what they knew and when they knew it. We're finally seeing the receipts they tried to burn. On July 7, 2019, just 24 hours after the initial federal arrest, an internal FBI email was dispatched from the New York field office. This document, recently unsealed and heavily redacted, is a window into the immediate aftermath of the operation. It's a snapshot of the panic that must have been rippling through the upper echelons of society. In it, agents discussed the urgent need to contact 10 specific individuals, described as potential associates in a wide-ranging network of illicit conduct. While 7 of those names remain hidden behind thick black bars, 3 names were left unredacted: Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, and the billionaire retail mogul Les Wexner. The email suggests that the FBI was moving with speed, attempting to secure statements and evidence before the trail grew cold. But the question that haunts this investigation is why, after naming these individuals as persons of interest, the list of prosecutions remained so incredibly short. It suggests an intense opposition within the bureaucracy, a force working to contain the fallout rather than follow the evidence to its natural conclusion. Was the trail cold, or was it blocked? Les Wexner, the man behind the L Brands empire and Victoria's Secret, has long occupied a unique position in this narrative. This isn't just some casual acquaintance we're talking about. For years, he maintained a deep and complex financial relationship with the lead figure of this scandal. Wexner famously granted him power of attorney over his vast fortune, a level of trust that is almost unheard of in the world of high finance. Think about that for a second. Even after properties were transferred and millions of dollars changed hands, the full extent of their partnership has remained a subject of intense public debate. While Wexner has consistently maintained that he was unaware of any grave ethical violations and eventually severed ties in 2007, the emergence of this 2019 FBI email places him directly in the crosshairs of the initial federal inquiry. The investigators clearly saw him as a key figure to be neutralized or interviewed immediately. This revelation forces us to look back at the financial structures that sustained this operation and ask how such a systemic failure could go unnoticed by those at the very top of the American business world. How do you hand over the keys to your kingdom to a man like that and then claim you had no idea what was happening in the guest house? Perhaps more troubling than the names we can see are the names we cannot. The FBI email identifies 10 co-conspirators, yet only 3 have been revealed. Who are the other 7? These individuals remain protected by the heavy hand of the Department of Justice, hidden from the public eye under the guise of ongoing privacy or investigative integrity. Let's call it what it is: a protective shield for the untouchables. This continued secrecy has sparked a firestorm on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are demanding to know why, in 2025, the American people are still being denied the full truth. The suspicion is growing that these redactions are not protecting an investigation, but are instead protecting powerful figures who still occupy the halls of government, finance, and international diplomacy. The refusal to unmask these individuals is seen by many as a permanent failure of our justice system to provide equal treatment under the law. Until those 7 names are unredacted, the wound of this scandal will never truly heal, and the trust in our institutions will continue to erode into nothingness. If the law doesn't apply to everyone, it doesn't apply to anyone. In a rare moment of unity, leaders from across the political spectrum are speaking out. They've finally found something they can agree on: the stench of a cover-up. Senator Chuck Schumer has called the DOJ's handling of these files a systemic failure of transparency, demanding that the department shed light on why these co-conspirators were never prosecuted. On the other side, representatives like Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are echoing those sentiments, arguing that the survivors of these grave ethical violations deserve to see every name brought into the light. The consensus is building that the Department of Justice is violating the law by withholding these records from congressional oversight. This isn't a partisan issue. It is a question of national character. When the law is used as a shield for the powerful, it ceases to be law and becomes a tool of oppression. The demand for a full, unredacted release of all 2019 FBI communications is becoming a deafening roar in Washington. The pressure is mounting, and the walls surrounding these secrets are beginning to crumble under the weight of public scrutiny. They can't ignore the noise much longer. We must ask ourselves, why was Ghislaine Maxwell the only one to face significant legal consequences? Why were others, who were identified as persons of interest in the very first hours of the arrest, allowed to fade into the background? The pattern suggests a deliberate containment, a strategy to neutralize the public's anger by offering a single target while protecting the broader network. It's the oldest trick in the book. Give them a villain so they stop looking for the accomplices. This is the hallmark of a systemic failure, where the scale of the wrongdoing is so vast that the institutions meant to police it become paralyzed by the potential fallout. The 2019 email proves that the FBI had a roadmap. They had names, they had locations, and they had intent. Yet, years later, We are still piecing together the fragments of a story that should have been told in full long ago. The American traditionalist understands that without justice, there is no order. And without order, the foundation of our republic is at risk. We are witnessing the struggle between those who want the truth and those who want to maintain a conditioning of silence. The release of the Wexner name is a significant step, but it cannot be the last. It's a crack in the dam, nothing more. As we look toward the future, the demand must remain clear: total transparency and total accountability. We cannot allow this chapter of our history to be closed until every individual involved in this network has been identified and investigated. The legacy of our justice system depends on its ability to hold even the most powerful billionaires and politicians to the same standard as any other citizen. If we allow these 7 names to remain hidden, we are essentially admitting that there is a class of people in this country who are above the law. This is a call to action for every patriot who believes in the core values of this nation. We must continue to support those in Congress who are fighting for the truth, and we must never stop asking the difficult questions. The light is coming, and soon there will be nowhere left for the shadows to hide. The truth is not just a preference, it is a requirement for a free people. We aren't going away, and we aren't going to forget.